I could take a guess that since your grandfather gave this to your grandmother when they got married, they had to come together sometime in the early years of the 1900s, between 1900 and 1915, because framing techniques in the early part of the 1900s have this wooden board. So if you see a wooden board as a backboard for a print, a painting, or other framed work of art, you can basically think, I got the first 15 or 20 years of the 1900s to date my piece. That helps you date your piece. They got married in 1914, so I'm on the money by 4 years. Okay, so they get married in 1914, and he says, I want you to have this. So it probably was framed a little bit earlier than when they got married. Maybe it came from his family, right? And you can see the artist there. There's a signature Chandler right down there, not like the Friends guy, but Chandler, the artist here, in the manner of Currier and Ives. So you all know Currier and Ives. You've seen a Currier and Ives print, you know, from Nassau Street in New York, and it says Currier and Ives, Nassau Street, New York. Currier and Ives had all kinds of people following them, people who would actually draw for them, like George Dury and others, and then they'd create those very famous and popular prints. In the 1950s, you see a lot of the reproductions of Currier and Ives prints. This particular piece is in the same manner as Currier and Ives. If it were Currier and Ives, yeah, I might be able to tell you it's worth, anywhere between $1,200 and $20,000. But you know what, Felicia? It's not a Currier and Ives. So it's a nice piece, and it is in fact a hand-colored lithograph. Okay? So hand-colored, and lithography is very popular in the early years of the 20th century. This particular piece, while we like the backboard for helping us date the piece, the backboard is acidic. It will off-gas. The wood will off-gas onto the piece, which is why you have a line right down the middle. And if you go to the back, you'll notice that the line right down the middle is actually in the same spot as where the two boards meet, right down the middle, okay? The boards are making that line. They've come right through, overall, this particular print, work on paper. The other problem, which people didn't know in the early 1900s, is that you need an air pocket. And that air pocket between the glass and the print is, in fact, usually functions as something called a mat. We didn't really have those then. You have a mat here. The mat would have been allowing that piece to not be right up against the glass. I always say you don't want your artwork kissing the glass, okay? So you might need a mat. Well, what should that cost? 20 bucks, 25 bucks? Not that much, if you love the frame. The backboard needs to be changed out. The pieces of wood have been there for more than a century, but they gotta go. They have to go in transition or in place of, you want to replace them with acid-free foam core or acid-free mat board. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, A.C. Moore, Michaels, any of those shops, or a framer. Might be cheaper at one of the craft shops, what I call craft shops. Your piece dates turn of the century, and value on your piece about $400. About $200 of that value is this frame that you love. This particular frame is in fact what's called composition matter frame. So it's wood. You can see the wood from the back. Show you the wood frame from the back. It's wood, right? Mitered corners, wooden frame, typical. Yeah. Then when we get to the front, you're going to see what's called composition matter. It's kind of like a plaster of Paris. They mold it into this decorative element, whether it's flowers, rosettes, leaves, whatever it might be. That's all white. Over the whole white wood, and then this white composition matter which is attached to it. Then they paint red. The whole frame is painted a red color because red will attract your eye, attractive to the optic nerve. That's why my picture's in red. There's a marketing reason for it, right? Attract the optic nerve, and you'll see, in fact, the way in which all of these different elements are molded out. The way you might do a Jell-O mold in a bundt pan, okay? It'll come out, and it'll have the nice decoration of the bundt pan. Right? So you're looking at that. After they paint the red, then they might gild it, gold leaf, After they paint the red, then they might actually paint it. That's what they did with yours. They painted over it. You'd be surprised to learn that the French Impressionists, all of their canvas underneath those pastel colors, the baby blues and the seafoam greens and the pinks, are actually completely red on the underside. Okay? People go, really? All those pastel? Yes, those pastel colors are actually red, just like this frame. Red on the underside and then gold. $200 for the frame, $200 for the print. Thanks for bringing it in. Nice family heirloom. You hang it on the wall with this wire, this one, which could date to about 1920, this wire. How old is this wire, Felicia? That is an old wire. That is even older than me. That's an old wire. I suggest that you go to, I don't know, Home Depot, Lowe's, anywhere in your favorite, your favorite store, hardware store, and go get a new piece of wire. Make sure if you are hanging it, you're hanging it on a hook, not a nail, not a screw in the wall, because it will come down, and then the frame will be damaged, the glass will crack, and the wall will be damaged, which is really the problem. So you want a hook, and you want to look on the hook packages. All of you should do this. You want to look on the hook packages for how much weight that hook can hold. Okay, 25 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it is. It's not that heavy, but glass makes it a little bit heavier. So you do need a new wire. I don't think you need new D-rings. These are called D-rings. Every once in a while you want to give a D-ring, a little loop here, D-rings. You want to give them a little bit of a turn, right? And make sure they're in there nice and tight. And then a new wire, and then you can get rid of this wire. It will not impact value if you take the backboard off. It will not impact value if you give a new wire, okay? All that information is important information for preservation. People say, oh, I don't care about that, I just want to know what it's worth. Well, for 5 years from now, all that preservation information is going to help you with respect to knowing what it's worth. Okay? Thank you very much. So this particular piece, another telltale sign is the light color of the wood of the frame. If the wood of the frame is light in color, it usually is low in quality. Okay, now you're going, well, I didn't pay too much for it. Tell me about the painting, Dr. Laurie. Well, the painting, in fact, is a painting that you probably, you see these staples? The staples mean that it's after 1950s, and the light color of the canvas means after 1950s. And the painting itself is pretty what we call quick and dirty. A quick brush stroke, a thick application of paint. They load a lot of paint on the paintbrush, and there they go. The color scheme, you will see this same composition, this same vase, the same flowers, the same position of the flowers in all different colors by the same, what is called art workshop. There are people who just manufacture these for the decorative arts, right, for just decoration. Value on it, all of it together, about 50 bucks. What'd you pay? Not bad. Half price. Not bad. Do you know that this particular work of art, while it is a colotype, which is a fancy word for mechanical print, this particular piece is based on the work of an artist who's working in the 1700s in France named Oudry. O-U-D-R-Y. He is not impressed. He just gave me a look like, I don't care, Dr. Laurie, it doesn't mean anything to me. He's the most famous artist for painting dead animals. That's what you've got. The dead animal master from France in the 1750s. That's not bad, right? And everyone says, oh, young people don't care about antiques. He may not until I tell him how much it's worth. Do you know how many millennials are following me on YouTube? Do you know how many are making extra income or leaving their permanent jobs to flip, going to thrift stores? They go to thrift stores, they buy something, they watch my YouTube channel, I teach them how to sell it, I teach them what to choose, and guess what? They're leaving their full-time jobs. They're living in, beautiful homes. They're following me around the country. There's a couple who was in Michigan. They followed me to Texas. He's an engineer. She's an art student. They're flippers. They're doing great. 26, 27. This particular print is valued about 100 bucks in the frame. The frame dates to about 1920. Why 1920? Because this particular artist is active in the middle part of the 1700s. There's something called the Rococo Revival, right? And the Rococo Revival is active in the 1920s. Thanks for this. You did. Archival, museum quality framing, expensive. Acid-free matte, see the nice bright line? Acid-free, buffered matte. The artwork's really quite fine. It is, of course, a gouache, watercolor with oil paint. on a paper support with the actual information on the back. Did anybody in your family serve in World War I? A grandfather, somebody back? Okay. This particular piece has historical value as well as monetary value. So I always talk about monetary value, but I try to give you some of the history background as well. Value on this piece about $275 plus the cost of the frame. Okay, that's nice. What did you pay at the auction? Did you get a bargain at the auction?
For the artwork, I paid $40.
$40 for the artwork. Okay, and it probably was unframed at the time, or it was in a lousy frame?
Unframed.
Unframed, even better. Okay. Do you guys think it's pretty? Yeah. Why do we think it's pretty? It's realistic. It says landscape to us. We look at it and we go, ooh, that's a landscape. That seems like a landscape, looks like a landscape, seems like landscape. What kind of painting is it? Oil, acrylic, encaustic? Think it's acrylic? Okay. What do you know about the artist?
I know he was Lebanese.
Lebanese artist. So you found him online, right? Is he trained? I oftentimes tell people, can you identify the hand of a trained artist? Like, I can't draw this. I have a lot of training, but I don't know how to draw this, paint this. You have to have particular training. This is a trained painter. He's trained in making paintings, painting, right? Trained artist. And here's why. Look at the trees. The trees are acting as framers, vertical framers visually. They make your eye go in this middle. Okay, you see it? So your eye's in the middle like that. This tree and that other green at the top is basically a horizontal which just moves your eye from here across. But your eye wants to sit right in here. It kind of looks over here at this area. Why? Because this particular figure is red. And red is the attractive color for the optic nerve. It's the first color we see after black and white. So we're attracted to the red, but then we move off that and we start looking toward the middle. This horizontal and that horizontal move your eye back and forth. The verticals frame it. Do you all see that? That is a typical example of what happens in fine art. Okay? That's the way it always works. What is beautiful about this painting is the levels of color. The way in which this artist is able to do the nuances of the different browns, light browns, golds, beiges, whites, off-whites, all the way up. Moves your eye up and down as well as across. This guy is a good painter. He knows what he's doing. And you have a good eye to recognize that. Denzel. She has a good eye. Do not take this away from her. I know, yes, you shouldn't be buying the owl, okay. But this particular piece is really quite beautiful. Did you see it in a photograph in an online auction? Is that how you were able to identify it? Okay. Did you know the size? Did they tell you the size of it? No. Okay, so you just get the piece and here it is and it comes home and it's in this frame. How old is the frame? Frame dates to the 70s. Okay, you can see it from the style. You know, it's kind of like John Travolta in the 70s. Can you see him? He's got the white outfit on, the suit, right? Staying alive, right? Okay, he's got the big pants. That's the 70s in fashion. Today you see John Travolta, he doesn't look like that. The frames today don't look like this. So this is a 70s era frame. Okay, this particular frame this piece was put into this frame. I don't think this artist said, ooh, I really want that frame, you know? This artist is a listed artist. There are actual sales records for his work, and his work will sell in the value range, right? In a sales record range. And that's what you always need from an appraisal. You need a sales record where somebody actually paid the bill and bought the piece. Appraisals are nothing if somebody hasn't bought it, right? All my values are based on actual sales record where a similar piece sold. His paintings will sell somewhere around $750 for a painting like this size. What did you pay in the online auction for this piece that just struck you? $39.99. This piece is worth about $750 without the frame. Add the lousy frame, you got another $50. I'd say $800. Gorgeous. Denzel. We're teasing the husbands tonight. But this is really a beautiful piece. It's really a beautiful piece. I don't like the frame at all. I think the frame is horrendous. It doesn't match the piece at all. The piece really is quite fine. It's a nice piece, and it's really well done. A lot of time is taken to make this piece. You know, we think artists just sort of do this quickly, you know, quick and dirty. Oh, they can just paint a picture really fast, you know. Even Jackson Pollock didn't paint paintings very fast. It took a long time. This painting actually took a long time and a lot of training to do. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing it. How'd you acquire it? Yeah, garage sale? You want to know what I like about it? I like the colors, okay? I like the colors because not only can you see, in fact, the way the composition is measured, but the colors are nice. So if you think of the color wheel, remember second grade, the color wheel? Red, yellow, blue, right? Well, actually, it's red, yellow, blue. And then what happens is you've got those other colors. If you mix red, yellow, blue, the colors in the middle, red and blue is purple, right? Blue and yellow is green. When you have all these different nuanced colors, then you have beige in between or a dark neutral color in between, it highlights the other primary colors. It's a device for artists. It's like when you have the green pond and then you've got a fisherman in a brown boat with a red hat. They're complementary colors that make the optic nerve actually attract to your piece. That's what you've got. You've got the primary colors coming back to you, so you're attracted to this. This particular artist is active in the 20th century, so 1930 to 1970 or so. This particular artist is really quite fine. Now, what do you have? Do you have a painting? Do you have a watercolor? Do you have a gouache? What do you have? You have no idea. So you go to a yard sale and you just buy it. It's like when you go to Walmart. You just go into Walmart and you need a blow dryer, but you buy a toaster because you have no idea. Right? You don't do that. You go to Walmart, you want a blow dryer, you go to the box, it says blow dryers inside, you get home. Guess what? It's a toaster. What do? You go back to Walmart. You're a customer service, you're waiting, you talk to the greeter, you get by, you're like, hey, this is supposed to be a blow dryer. In the art and antiques world, you don't do that. It's buy it as is. Too bad if you got a watercolor and you thought it was a painting, or you got a print and you thought it was a painting, right? Too bad. And that's what I have to tell you. Too bad. You have a mechanical print. It's not a watercolor. Little consistent dot pattern. What did you pay at the yard sale? $5 and $10 because you don't spend more than $5 or $10 at the yard sale, right? If you look at this frame has a particular element here where it comes out at each corner, and that particular element indicates that it was framed sometime in the 1950s or 60s. Value on your piece, about $50, but you paid $5, so you did okay. And it is a good example of a nice composition. Thanks for bringing it in.